right, the MLB trade deadline is in the books, and we're going to get into some winners and losers who won and lost the 2024 deadline this year. Harrison Graham, Jack Lautaret, our baseball extraordinaire here with you. But hey, listen, we had a lot of fun during the trade deadline, and if you want more baseball content, subscribe. We're kind of known for our NFL, NBA, and college football coverage, but if you want us to dive a little bit more into the MLB game, hit that subscribe button and let us know in the comments. Jack, we'll start with your deadline winners. We're going to start with the Baltimore Orioles here.
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest needs going in was pitching. Their starting rotation was absolutely riddled with injuries, Tommy Johns, season-ending elbow surgeries, and they did exactly what they needed to do. First trade is Zach Eflin. I really like this kid from the Rays. I think he's going to bring a lot to this rotation. And you didn't really have to give up a lot. None of these prospects are gonna destroy the world in any way, shape, or form. You bring in Zach Eflin. You bring in our favorite player, cash considerations. I think this was a good trade overall. And then you bring in Trevor Rogers as well, another really solid pitcher. This one's interesting though because they had to give up a little bit of a pretty penny. Connor Norby is a top 10 prospect in their system. Kyle Stowers has major league outfield experience. So they were very high on Rogers, bringing in the lefty. I think you accomplished what you needed to do, bringing in two quality pitchers. And they also brought in Eloy Jimenez as well to cap it off. Sent another small prospect the way. But overall, they filled their needs. They did it well. They brought in two of the more sought-after pitchers at this trade deadline.
Yeah, Baltimore looking to make a push here, as are the Los Angeles Dodgers, who definitely made the biggest splash of the deadline, Jack. They add Jack Flaherty from the Tigers, who is a rental, but even only just being under a one-year contract right now, they only gave up their number 8 and 22 prospects. Yeah. That's pretty damn good if you're an LA Dodgers fan.
Look, I'm going to keep it $150 with you. They can't keep getting away with this.
Cue the Jesse Pinkman meme.
Keep letting them get away with this. I will talk more about that in my losers, but for the Dodgers' sake, they need to win. They need to prove that 2020 was not a fluke, that it was not a Mickey Mouse World Series. They brought in Shohei. They brought in Yamamoto, but then they had a bunch of injuries. You bring in Jack Flaherty to shore up a rotation of Glasnow, Connor Stone. You bring in Kershaw back. And then you're going to get Yamamoto back from injury as well. Like, people are going to start to come back. This is going to be a top rotation in the league. And then on top of that, you also bring in a journeyman utility man in Tommy Edman in a 3-team trade, and Michael Kopech, who is a flame-throwing reliever. You accomplished everything you needed and more, in my opinion. Edman, when he gets back from the IL, is going to be very valuable, probably covering a lot of shortstop time because Mookie Betts is injured, and we don't know when he's going to be back. So the Dodgers, if we're looking at it from the Dodgers' perspective, are clear winners for me.
Yeah, they're absolutely all in and made some good moves here today. Who do you guys think is the biggest trade deadline winner? It'll be the pinned comment on today's show, so if you get hit with that YouTube ad break, reply with the biggest winner from the deadline. How about the Seattle Mariners, who have been flailing a little bit, if you will, the last month and a half or so in a 3-team race in the AL West with the Houston Astros and the Texas Rangers? They go out and get Randy Arozarena, excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, look, their biggest need, I put it in my scouting notes for them. Their biggest need, offense whatsoever. They have one of the best, if not the best, rotation from top to bottom in all of baseball. But they could not hit worth a lick. They could not score runs. So you bring in two guys that are proven commodities. Now, Randy Arozarena is not having the best year this year, but he's almost up to 20 home runs. He hits the ball hard, and he hits it far. And then you bring in Justin Turner as well, a veteran, journeyman, postseason experience, hits the ball, and he does it consistently. You filled the need that you needed to, and you did it well. So now, hopefully, this rotation that's so good has a little bit of relief, and you didn't give up much to get these guys either. They're a clear winner for me today.
The San Diego Padres are a winner as well, as they went out and got the best reliever on the open market. They paid a lot to get Tanner Scott, Jack, but This is a team that has invested a lot of money in recent years. They need to start producing in October.
Yeah, the reason why they are a winner for me is because they took a different route than a lot of these other teams that we're talking about. They did give up a lot, especially for Tanner Scott. They gave up 3 top 10 prospects for Tanner Scott. But this is a team that is trying to win in the next year or two. They are trying to win like now. Not just win now, but win now. And if you bring in Tanner Scott, you have, in my opinion, the best bullpen in all of baseball. Because not only did you bring in Scott, you also brought in Jason Adam as well, and you didn't have to give up much. A lot of prospects went out the door, but I don't think they're concerned about that whatsoever. What they're concerned about is how their depth, how their bullpen, how their major league roster looks right now. And I think they upgraded big time at the deadline.
The Tampa Bay Rays, your final winner here. Why is that?
So it's actually completely the opposite of the San Diego Padres. They were a seller at this deadline, but I think they made really smart trades and brought in a lot of very intriguing prospects. The biggest trade was the Isaac Paredes trade, by far. They brought in they shipped out Isaac Paredes, and they brought in Christopher Morel, who is a younger, very exciting kind of boomer bust third baseman that, while maybe not as good statistically as Isaac Paredes, we saw that Morel last year was
He's shown a lot of potential.
Incredibly dominant hitter. And then you bring in some pretty good prospects as well. I like this Jason Adam trade for the Rays. We just talked about it for the Padres. I like it for the Rays too because Dylan Lesko, he was a top pick a few years ago, and he's fallen off. He has not played very well in the minors, but the Rays in particular, they have what we like to call a pitching lab, where if you bring in these pitchers and you tool them and refine them, they have specifically been able to take kind of lost souls, if I can call them, of pitchers that aren't pitching very well, and turn them into absolute studs. Blake Snell, Tyler Glasnow were 2 very good pitchers, but they came through the Rays system and the Rays pitching lab. It happens, and Lesko, I think, is a prime candidate for that, as well as Brody Hopkins, who they got in the Randy Arozarena trade. You also bring in Aiden Smith as well. They put on a seller's clinic. They got rid of the players they wanted to get rid of, but brought in really, really solid prospects that could flourish in later years, and that's what the Rays do. They never pay anyone. They bring in good prospects and develop the hell out of them.
Some teams bought, some teams sold. If you're looking to buy some tickets to a sporting event, concert, theater, show, or anything else, Game Time is the place to do it. Appreciate Game Time for sponsoring today's show. Get your tickets by downloading the Game Time app. Use code CHATSPORTS to get $20 off your first purchase only. Terms apply there. Listen, if you want to go check out a baseball game second half of this season, preseason football, NBA, once basketball returns, Game Time is the place to go. What they specialize in is last-minute tickets for the lowest price guaranteed. I've bought in tickets on the day of events on several occasions with Game Time, and I've never been let down. I've never been late to these events. They're very timely in terms of getting those tickets digitally sent to you. So go check it out. And Game Time also shows you the exact vantage point of where your tickets will be in said venue. Again, code CHATSPORTS when you download the Game Time app in your app store. Link in the comments in the description that will redirect you to the app store if you want to do it that way. Get you $20 off your first purchase only. Terms do apply. Check out Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, Jack, let's get to some deadline losers here, as the Chicago White Sox kind of did the half thing where they got rid of Eloy Jimenez. I think they got rid of a reliever as well.
Got rid of Erick Fedde
they
as well.
kept Garrett Crochet. They kept Luis Robert. Again, just a franchise that lacks direction.
Yeah, I think the reason why they're losers to me is completely tied to Garrett Crochet and Luis Robert. I think where the Rays put on a seller's clinic, I think the White Sox kind of shot themselves in the foot a few times. Garrett Crochet in particular, there were reports coming out, I don't know how substantiated they are, I don't know how accurate they are, of him saying he wanted an extension, and if he didn't get one for the team that he traded, he wasn't going to pitch in the postseason. Well, that hurt the White Sox ability to trade him. And then Luis Robert, you didn't trade him as well. And I think a lot of people were looking for Luis Robert's services getting ready for this trade deadline. White Sox, you're not a good team this year. You are on the verge of breaking records in terms of losses, and you're not anywhere near a window to win now. So I just don't understand why they didn't get absolutely ginormous hauls for these two players. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I think it was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, another team that lacks direction right now is the Oakland Athletics. They're about to leave Oakland, playing Sacramento next year, eventually Vegas. They were pretty quiet too.
That's these two teams, the White Sox and the Athletics, they are losers for the same reason. Brent Rooker, he's having a stellar season. Incredible season. And you could have gotten a haul. I mean a haul from contenders that needed a bat. And from everything I heard, all the reports, all the rumors, they just didn't want to sell him. And I get it, he's a good player. You want to hold on to him for a while? Sure. But, you've got the White Sox, the Marlins, and then the A's, I think, in my power rankings. You're not anywhere near a win-now window, and your ownership group continues to show again and again that you're not going to buy.
My issue with these teams, I have no problem keeping good players if you're the White Sox, if you're the A's. But if you're not going to spend in free agency, what's the point? Your only chance of winning is to develop a ton of young talent. So you might as well sell to get 3 or 4 prospects and hope you hit on a couple, and they chose not to do that. So I just don't really know what these teams are trying to accomplish. The Houston Astros, Jack, I'll chime in a little more on this one just because that is my favorite team as well. They took a lot of heat for this trade they made for Kikuchi with the Blue Jays. Not having a great year. Now, he was really good last year, so maybe the Astros, who do have a history of, kind of like the Rays, getting the best out of their pitchers, maybe he figures it out, but he's been in a big cold slump recently. They gave up some good prospects to get him as well. I thought maybe they'd swing a little bigger for a starter, but they're hoping Kikuchi can help them out. Houston's been playing really well the last couple of months to get back into the AL West race, tied atop of the division right now, but is Kikuchi going to be a rotation starter for them in the postseason? I guess we'll have to wait and see. If he is and pitches well, then they become winners. But if it's how he's pitched recently, they kind of give up a lot for him.
Yeah, I just think that they didn't fully accomplish the needs that they wanted to. They got a reliever as well. I didn't add him in here because he wasn't anything special. You gave up a lot for Kikuchi. I like Kikuchi. I think he's got high upside. I think at the end of the day, you just didn't do enough. I think this team has shown that their window is getting tighter and tighter. And they do not have a lot of time left. Altuve's getting old. Bregman's getting old. Jordan's good, cool. Tucker's injury prone. We've seen that this year.
Verlander's year to year.
Verlander's year to year. And your rotation, while it's kept you afloat, needed help. Kikuchi will help. But how much? Is one trade really going to move the needle? That was kind of my biggest issue. That's why they're one of my losers.
And then why are the fans losers, Jack?
Colin, go back to that trade. We can not keep letting them get away with this. We cannot keep letting them get away with this. They gave up their number 8 and number 22 prospect.
For the best starter on the market. Other than Crochet. Yeah,
that's it.
I mean, I called it with about 90 minutes left. I was like, this feels like a Dodgers move. Like, they're going to get Flaherty.
It was the Red Sox, Dodgers, and Yankees in that tweet. And you said this is a Dodger or Yankee signing.
Yeah. It just, look, I mean, it gave us a little more action to talk about, but of course it's the Dodgers, right?
Course it is.
I'll tell you this right now, Jack. If this team doesn't win the World Series, if they're assuming they're mostly healthy, when are they going to? How much talent is it going to take for them to win a non-COVID shortened season World Series?
Yeah.
Because they are absolutely loaded. They have limitless money, and they continue to add talent here. I mean, if their starters are all healthy, they got 6 legitimate starters. I don't know who's going to be in their playoff rotation, but Flaherty's certainly going to be one of them.
You cannot keep letting them get away with this. Every good player cannot keep going to the Dodgers.
Yeah, it's
and then they won't win the World Series. They'll get bounced in the division series again, like they always do.
They'll lose to the Padres in the divisional round. All right, biggest MLB trade deadline loser. Let us know who it is, who it was, down in the comment section down below. This was a lot of fun. Shout out to producer Cullen for
Yes,
hitting
sir.
the ones and twos. Jack Lautaret, loving to talk some baseball here. Subscribe for more baseball content so Jack can do some more. I'm Harrison Graham. We'll see you guys soon.